Our next speaker is Dr. Govind Rao. He's a professor of chemical, biochemical, and environmental engineering here at UMBC and has been a faculty member since 1987. He was actually one of the founding faculty members of the department. And he founded the Center for Advanced Sensor Technology in 2006 and has been serving as its director ever since. Dr. Rao's research is targeted towards disruptive innovation. He's all about disruptive innovation. The sensors developed by Dr. Rao and his colleagues in CAST have led to paradigm shift in bioprocess technology as they enable high-throughput bioprocessing. Recently, the Rao Lab has also developed a non-invasive sensor technology for neonatal monitoring. The current focus of their work is to develop next-generation manufacturing technology that's aimed at producing protein-based therapeutics at the point of care. Think therapeutics on demand. A major effort at CAST, and something that I know is near and dear to Dr. Rao's heart, is the application of sensor technology to reduce healthcare costs and to close disparity gaps by making innovative low-cost devices for use in low-resource settings. And Dr. Rao and his colleagues have a number of patents, many of which have been licensed. He's won many, many national awards, too many for me to list today, and when you hear this next talk, you'll understand why.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's great to be here, and it's a real privilege to stand here and talk about what I've been doing at UMBC for about 29 years. I chose this rather presumptuous title so I could spell grit. And I want to dedicate this talk to Michael Hooker, who was the president when I came to UMBC. And this is a historical picture. That's me. That's Michael Hooker. And this is Michael Hooker's other gift to UMBC, Freeman Hrabowski. And so that pretty much rewrote our history. I'd like to start with this. This is a question I usually ask my students, and most people say it's a map of the world that aren't quite able to identify what it represents. This represents the number of people who live on less than $1 a day. And if you think about that, at that point, it's just survival that you're thinking about, forget healthcare. And it's easy to look at a map and lose the emotional connection. So I've taken some photographs that Renee Bayer took of the actual people and their stories. This is a Guatemalan washerwoman who makes a living by doing laundry. She herself is handicapped, but looks after her children. This is a little girl in Zimbabwe who gathers electronic waste to recycle the copper from printed circuit boards. And the reason you see tears trickling down her cheeks is because she suffers from malaria, so she's always in constant pain. These are two surviving children from a migrant camp in India. Their younger siblings died of malnutrition. So clearly, there's an enormous amount to be done to alleviate the suffering at this level. And the other alarming statistic that I learned later, about 5 years ago, is that there's a terrible problem of infant mortality in these low-resource settings. This is a busy slide. Go back with one thing that you can remember. Every 10 seconds, a baby dies. That's bad enough, but what's more tragic is that it's preventable. And the leading cause is preterm births. When a premature baby is born, they're just too small, they're not able to keep themselves warm, and so they basically freeze to death. And this is, again, something that's a real tragedy that's easy enough to prevent by means of pretty much coming up with a replica of what mom provides. Mom is always ready to heat, cool, feed the baby, and this is what sparked an idea in terms of creating a low-cost incubator that, like mom, would work 24/7 off the grid and have both heating and cooling capacity. And I'm really fortunate in that I have access to a free workforce of extremely talented engineers. So I set these out as class projects, and students come up with different designs. We took it one step further, and I was able to get seed funding for these designs, and part of that involved coming up with these designs and a prototype. So the students built many prototypes, and one of which they settled on ultimately was made of cardboard. But we didn't want to do something top-down. So part of the funds were used to take a field trip to India and look at the rural healthcare scenario there. And what was amazing, this whole incubator project has become a love story. people just drop what they're doing, they want to be involved and want to help. These are extremely distinguished, busy people in India. One is the president of a university with 150,000 people. This other person is the equivalent of a Congressional Medal of Honor winner who serves free clinics for 9 million people. So they took us on a trip, and this is what happens when a baby is born. The way they keep the baby warm is with a table lamp. And so we can certainly do better. So what we did was showed our cardboard design to a group of nurses and midwives and got their feedback to refine the design. And this was also groundbreaking because they said, no one's ever asked us before. Most of the solutions come top down. So working from the bottom up, we came up and then we had to partner with a commercial manufacturer. Many things in academia fail because there's no mechanism to take it to the ultimate customer. You need innovation. You need the business community to work with you. And we were very fortunate that India's largest neonatal equipment manufacturer readily agreed to partner with us. And part of the reason was because nobody's making any money on this. It's really a labor of love. We had a patent that UMBC returned to me, and I let it expire. So now everything is in the public domain. The need for these incubators in India alone is about 300,000 a year. This entire company's manufacturing capacity is 2,000 a year. So given the gap, they were happy to help us to come up with a low-cost solution. This is something that I got last week. It is the prototype that's under test. And interestingly enough, it has the UMBC logo on it. And the first production run was of 50 units. How cool is that, to celebrate our 50th anniversary? So this is going in a couple of weeks into clinical trials. And it's a very bittersweet moment. I think this will impact millions of people, but I'm nervous because we're asking mothers to trust us with their most precious possession, their infant, to make sure that these incubators are safe. So if you want to help, send a prayer. That would really be something that we could use. Okay, this is about the developing world and the low-resource environment. Incidentally, what's interesting is it comes back full circle. Someone told me after Hurricane Sandy, we could have used these in New York when the power went out. So who knows? Someday what you do outside comes back to you. Let's switch gears to what's going on here. We are in deep trouble. You're probably seeing all the headlines about even Obamacare running into trouble because we're running out of money. And if you look at the projections, there's really very little discretionary money going to be left, and everything's going to be going into healthcare. And against this, now we've talked about people who live on $1 a day or under. Now, these are United States government statistics. If you make more than $50 a day, you're considered high income. That for a family of 4 is about $80,000 a year. And think about it. So that's about enough to make you sure that you'll get dinner tonight. You just have to choose Mexican, Italian, or whatever. But that's about it. God forbid you run into a situation where you need treatment for cancer. Turns out cancer is about to eclipse heart disease as the #1 killer in America. And the treatments are incredibly expensive. So if you have insurance, you might get someone to cover it, and even then the deductibles are going up. But look at this number, about $10,000 a month is what you need. And part of the reason for these exploding costs is the cost of manufacturing these medications. And what we're doing in our other project is to replace a traditional large pharmaceutical plant. That would be about the size of this building, cost $1 billion. And it essentially looks like a supersized brewery with fermentation tanks that are producing medicines that cells produce. And we're trying to replace that with a briefcase-sized device that'll produce your medicines at the point of care. So if you're a diabetic, someday you'll be able to make your own insulin at your own home. And this is just proof that we've actually achieved this target. This is funded by DARPA. They're the people who've created the GPS and the internet. They give you these impossible challenges. And it is just an absolute joy to report that we're ahead of schedule, and we've done the first demonstration of a platform. The brains behind the operation is Dr. Jeffrey Ling, who came up with this concept. And we were very privileged that the person who pushed the button was Lieutenant Colonel Robert Mabry. He's the medic who was the real-life hero from Black Hawk Down. So the whole lab was taking selfies with him. And this is just a video that shows you, it's sped up of 20 minutes compressed into 20 seconds. This is the protein as it's being manufactured and purified on a column. And when it comes out, someday you'll be able to inject that into a patient right by the bedside. So this is a remarkable project, and it's a privilege to be part of this. But what really made all this possible is this diversity that I discovered at UMBC. That's me in about 1992, and that's the lab. Steve Altman was a plant physiology PhD. Jeff Sipior was a chemistry PhD. Shabir Bambot was a chemical engineer PhD, all sharing the same office. That was one thing. But the other part of the equation, Steve was a devout Jew. Shabir was a devout Shiite Muslim. So he had a prayer rug rolled in under the lab bench. And Jeff was a spitting image. He had long flowing hair, looked like Jesus, the image you see, but he's atheist. So God has a sense of humor. And so it was just an incredible mix of people and ideas, and it's so very different from the America that we see in the papers today. So I hope things don't slide backwards. This is where we need to be. And the lab now has grown quite a bit, thanks to DARPA, with the same diversity, people from multiple countries, Iran, Iraq, Philippines, China, India, Cameroon, you name it. So I'm hoping that we continue to make positive change for the rest of the world and harness the ingenuity of all these people and really make transformational change possible. Thank you very much.